a Thanksgiving on the road, and some burgundy amidst all the blue. A rivalry renewed, and for a while the underdog visitors were hanging tough. But then reality set in. Dallas domination, a true Turkey Day takedown. Now 3 straight losses, changes have been made, and who knows if and when more are on the way.
You all believe that good times are ahead for this team? With a new coaching staff?
With a new coaching staff.
What to make of this latest disappointment in Big D, the changes to the staff, and what's to come starting Sunday against Miami.
So y'all are willing to just stomach it right now?
Yeah, right now we are, and I know the good times are coming.
On this Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus.
The man
Call somebody,
is back,
call
y'all.
somebody. We're
He's
back. Call
He's
your
back.
mama, call your
We're
daddy.
back and we're back.
We're back.
Tony McGee,
He's back, y'all.
We're back.
Tony
McGee.
Come on. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee. What's up?
Welcome back to Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. Each and every week, we try to come here with a positive attitude. But there's one thing about it. When love is not being served at the table, you got to learn how to lead that table. And that's what's happening with this Washington team. I don't know what that was one of the worst games that I saw them play. And I didn't tell you, man, I didn't know what we saw. I'm just going to ask my people that I got on, and we got some big ones on today. I got to be Mitch. You know he going to say what's on his mind. Then you bring in Clarence the Thrill Hill. Alex, you been here the whole time. And Donna, did anybody see our defensive line get close enough to see what kind of number Dak had on?
Well, Tony, you hit it back right out.
Just talk to me.
Hey, you know what? I'm laughing at you. As far as dinner table and all of those things, did anybody see Dak's uniform? They saw the back of it, all right. But Tony, like you said, this was by far the worst game this team could have played. They were in the game at certain points. And then, you know what? Fourth quarter, they're down 23-10. And on 4th and 1, Tony, on their own 24, I can't get that out of my head because I keep telling, I was talking to Brian Mitchell up there in Dallas. I said, who in their right mind would go for a 4th and 1 with this team on their 4-yard line, and then the Dallas goes in to score. And from there, Tony, it seems like the air was let out the cell because Dallas started just scoring. I can't understand, even for the life of me still, this team ain't good enough for going 4th and 1 on your own 24. And like I said, it was just like the bottom dropped out from this team in that Dallas game.
But I think if you look at it, though, it's been that way for most of the year. To be totally honest with you, this team has been in games early on. And then late in the game, they seem to either get tired or they make mistakes that kill them. And I keep hearing people complain about working hard, but I don't see them playing in the second half. All I've asked for over the last 3 to 4 years was a full football game from all 3 phases. I don't think we've got a full football game from 1 phase. So when you begin to hear the things that comes out of that building and then they try to come with excuses, you have to understand that there is some type of disconnect, even in the coaching ranks, not just players. Accountability must not be a word that they ever speak of, because one thing I know when I played ball, people were held accountable by players for sure inside the locker room. Right now, I don't see it being held anywhere around the football team.
Oh man, yet you couldn't have said that any better. And for the simple aspect, this team, one thing I've seen, and Clarence, you can jump in on this. I see our defensive backs, and sometimes they getting washed like clothes in the laundromat, and then the next thing they make a big play. They looking in the film and look at me and all that. That's not the way you play ball. And that's what I look at this team. They had an opportunity to really be a good team. Do you think offensively that maybe they should have worked the offensive line a little earlier?
Well, my thing when I look at Washington, and it goes back years, it starts at the top. It's been right from the top from the beginning, and the only reason the head coach kept his job is because there was so much controversy with ownership. But they've not been good under the head coach, and I had a problem with the head coach going back to the preseason when he basically threw Eric Bieniemy under the bus. When he was holding players accountable. Why are you telling that? I mean, that to me that's a problem from the head coach, the leadership on down. You putting all that out in the media about him holding players accountable and players not liking it, coming to your office and complaining about him holding them accountable. You should have told him to get back out your office, get back on the practice field. You shouldn't be sharing that with the media. So that to me that's a leadership problem. That's a problem that's rotted from the top, and it's an ongoing thing with the defensive coordinator. His issues with a dust up, which I have a problem with. I don't know how you can play for a guy like that. Talking about January 6th as a dust up, and then you get rid of your best defensive players. I don't know how you can. I don't know how your defense backs can play when you get rid of your best pass rusher. So you can't get to the quarterback. And again, you talked about the offensive line. Your quarterback has been the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. I mean, it's like a feeding frenzy back there. That people they throw the ball a lot and they get to him. So there's problems all around with the new ownership coming in. You knew that was going to be changed. It's just a matter of when it was going to happen.
Hey, Tony, let's stay there for a minute because he hit on some things. He talked about players crying about during training camp that Eric Bieniemy is working us too hard. And now it's the rumbling again is that, hey, can we take some of the power away from Eric Bieniemy? And, these people are crying about working hard, trying to win and everything. And then on the defensive side, you let go Chris Harris, the defensive backs coach. This defensive secondary was not playing bad under him. And then they brought in a guy that really shouldn't have been coaching in the NFL as far as on this team. So it was Brian talked about the disconnects on this team. Well, it was a whole bunch of disconnect pieces of people that you let go that should have been still on this team. And then you still got certain players. I don't know who the players are crying about, taking power away or Eric Bieniemy coaching style and all that. That's that's the measure of players that don't know how to win.
I gotta disagree with you on one thing. What are you talking about? The defensive platform playing better?
No, I talked about the
no, Tony. I think.
Come on now.
No, Tony. I said the defensive backs were playing
some sugar.
No. What she said
last year.
Think about this.
Donnie, you got 25 years of knowledge, and you don't need them defensive backs to get our big problem.
Hey, I understand what she's saying. Chris Harris is a guy that people are asking to be a defensive coordinator. And mysteriously, his contract ended without them knowing. Because if it hadn't ended, they would have control over if he could have talked to the Tennessee Titans and not taken that job. But by the time they found out and realized that he was already gone, because they allowed his contract to end without knowing. But Chris Harris, if he was still here, could have been a big help for this team. Instead, they got Wieselmeyer, a guy who the only time he's coached beyond high school was when Jack Del Rio hired him when he was in Denver and also here. He has no experience to be where he was, and we could see it in the defensive backfield. As a professional, you want to get the best coaching, the best toolage. They weren't getting that. By no stretch can they get it. And they have a coach on the staff right now who's been there, who has experience. He did not have control. Wieselmeyer did. So I think what happened in this situation, whoever hired Jack, and Jack also, they gave a disservice to this football team by not putting the best of the best in front of them to teach them. We look at the secondary, and I think every week they're giving up 2, 3, 4 explosive plays, which are plays that are 15 yards or more. They're scoring more plays. We've given up 16 plays scored from outside of the red zone. And when you look at that, and the next team behind us, I think, has 10. So we are giving up big plays at a record pace, which should not be happening. And then when you have a guy coming from high school who has no damn experience, he shouldn't be on your team coaching by no stretch of imagination.
Mitch, I got to ask you one question because, I've been covering the league for 28, 30 years myself. Mm-hmm. There's no way they did not know his contract was expiring. There's no way the GM, the front office people who do the contract did not know that Chris Harris' contract was expiring.
Tony, all those people are one person.
Okay,
He said a GM.
there's
All
no
those people
way.
are one person.
There's no way he did not know the contract was up.
Well, when they went to talk to him,
didn't know the contract
he
was
was
up.
signed already.
There's no way.
He was
If they
signed.
didn't know, that's the epitome of incompetence. There's no way they did not know that.
And Tony,
You know,
what I was
I
saying,
listened
Tony,
to
what I
both
was
of you guys, and it seemed like we just have that they must have had this same kind of conversations within the meeting room. But looking at the same time, Brian said one thing that he and I have not talked before the show, but right here on my notes, the first thing, playoff, can we see a total game? And that's what we haven't seen. We talk about different positions, we talk about everything. But look, Alex, where have we seen a total game where we can say everybody played, everybody's on the same page, everybody was looking to win?
I'm with B. Mitch and you, Tony. We haven't seen one. We've seen spurts. Quarterback has played well. Some receivers have had games where they've been lights out. D-line with the two guys that are no longer here at times was fantastic. At Denver is an example where the D-line stood up and won that football game against what we now know is not a bad football team given the last month or so of what the Broncos have done. Tony, my biggest takeaway from the Thanksgiving Day game is, listen, you and Brian, you lived this rivalry, okay? We watched it. Clarence covered it. Don has covered it. I've covered it. You guys played in it. I don't even know if we can call it a rivalry. When one team wins all the games, it can't be that much of a rivalry. What would stick with me if I was still a fan, and that sort of has left me over the years, probably for good, Dallas toyed with them. It was close for a while. You just got the sense that when Dallas wanted to turn it on, they could at any moment. They waited until about the fourth quarter. And then they're grabbing turkey legs that they've hidden in the red bucket before the game because they knew that it was going to get so out of hand that they could make some like prop stuff out of it. It's one thing to go there to lose. B-Mitch, you remember those games back in the day? Losing at Dallas 35-31. That's one thing. Beating Dallas, or losing the Monday night game. You know the one I'm talking about, the 31-30 game. That's one thing. This team toyed with their rival and was pulling out turkey legs and eating them in front of the camera against their rival. That's worse to me than why you lose the game or how you lose the game. It's not a rivalry anymore. Not when one team is got props and games in addition to the game itself. That's my takeaway. Have we seen a complete game? No. They saw 3/4 of a decent game on Thanksgiving, and then the other team said, enough of this. Let's just put them away. And they did.
Hey,
I think it's about a pride thing. Listen, man, I played this thing and I watched it before I got here. I watched it afterwards. And, I know a lot of the current players get upset when former players say something. I tell people over and over again, I came here from Louisiana Lafayette, University of Southwestern Louisiana at the time as a former quarterback, and I played my position. One thing I'll tell people is I played hard every damn game. I don't care what we were doing. And I watched a lot of guys in the pregame. They were not in tune to the game. They were caring about what was on the sideline and doing things there before the game. And when the game started, it seems just like what I saw. One thing about this whole thing, man, players, can change this ball game because players are the ones that can hold their teammates accountable. But I've seen 4 years of people being cool with everything. Always they tell me the same thing. We're going to get better. Let me tell you one thing about pro sports with testosterone-driven men. You're going to see some disagreements, maybe some fisticuffs if people aren't doing what they're supposed to do. I understand John and Deron had their little thing on the sideline. That's not enough for 4 years of this. We won an NFC East title. We were 7-9. Is that a lot to cheer about? Dallas was 6-10. The Eagles were 6-10. Well, look how far they've gotten. Look where we are now. Are we getting better? Are we staying stagnant or getting worse? And I think that's what you got to look at. And sometimes people ask the coach to do everything. I didn't need Coach Gibbs, Norv Turner, Andy Reid, Jim Fossil to tell me to get ready to play a football game. The fact that I was snapping up against a competitor, that gave me enough right there. They're paying me to play a game on Mondays. That was enough to get ready. These guys right here always seem to need somebody to say something or do something. Where's the self-motivation out of these guys? I don't get it.
And you know, Brian, that's a great point. We got to take a break right now, but I got to digress and go back to what Chill said earlier. It was some things said in training camp that I said formulated this whole year for this team. When the defense coordinator made a remark about situations that was happening politically, and then when coaches have a new coordinator coming in and you're not standing behind him all the way. I think the coach was, but at that time, that led a little division there to me. But we can't keep using that as a mistake because every time, note that happened way back in training camp. And if I don't think I got it right, these guys have been paid every week since that anyway. When we come back, we'll talk about that because it just wasn't the offense that was messing up. That defense, I think they traded more than 2. They must have traded 7 people and we didn't know. We'll be back in a moment.
Next.
What happens in the office or culture changes, that's probably one of the biggest distractions that we don't need. We're already going through what we're going through. So I feel like, this is a distraction to focus on that. We need to focus on what's going to make us a better team and just continue working at that.
We just got to figure it out. We got to figure out how to play 60 minutes of football. I mean, that's pretty much it. We got to figure out how to execute at the highest level. And really lean on each other and understand that everybody's going to do their jobs.
But at the end of the day, we just got to do our jobs better as a collective. And it starts with me first. I'm just pointing to figure out myself. I need to control what I need to control and play better.
There's really no mercy in the league. And I don't think any of us are looking for a handout or, a sob story. It's just you got to, put your pants on tomorrow, and see how you can come back better.
Well, we just got to keep fighting, what I'm saying? When you're in the league this long, stuff get hard, but, it's going to turn our ways at some point. We just got to keep fighting, keep throwing punches.
At the end of the day, in the NFL, you have to do your job. And as players, we're not getting the job done. As coaches, we're not getting the job done. So I don't think anyone's getting the job done. So for me, I'm looking at myself. What can I do to be better? What can I do to help these guys win? And everyone has to do that for themselves.
It's always that, what else do we need to do? It's kind of like it's always that same feeling coming back in the locker room and be like, it's not one person fault, but it's kind of like collectively, like what else can we do to really all put it together? I always keep hope that, what I'm saying, at some point, we're all gonna we're gonna put it together. We got a whole bunch of guys that just don't quit in this team. And I think that's what's just keeping us alive because could be way worse, could have a whole bunch of guys that don't take accountability and point fingers and all that stuff, but we have none of that. So as long as we have that, as long as we have that camaraderie and that's some sort of relationship with all our teammates, we'll be fine. But those losses, they hurt a lot.
Well, we'll see how much it hurt. They talk a good game, man. I like what they're saying. The one thing they do say is, we got to be a team. We got to straighten up. We didn't play well. They keep saying at the end of the day, they better look out for the end of your career. If you mess around and keep playing like that. But, Donna, you said it was a correction in that. You told me.
I know you
heard you.
I know. Hey, guys.
Don't make me throw the red flag out and get some replay here now.
About your defense, Tony. I know you're sensitive about the defense. When we start talking about the defense, you get all emotional. But what I was saying is that last year under Chris Harris, this defensive backfield did not play like they were running in lost in space or out of position so much last year. Under Chris Harris, this secondary ranked 8th in passing, Tony, and this defense 4th overall. Now they're dead last, Tony, almost in every category. 29th, I think, in points scored, almost 30 points in 7+ games, Tony. So when you look at this defense across the board, you almost ask what took them so long as far as to make this change going into the season, because from day one, this defense did not look great. They supposed to be the strength of this team, but they looked like the bottom was dropping out from the start, Tony, with points allowed, starting with that Chicago game. That game should have been a telltale in let's make some changes as far as this defense. Then you let two of your defensive ends go, which it's hard to get that. Tony, you said that you build a defense from the line play, the offensive line, the defensive line. So you literally to let go of half of your defensive front, and Coach Rivera is supposed to be play calling now. What does that look like? Because he hasn't done that since 2018. Will this team be better under him calling the plays, or will it just be a Band-Aid again where you don't heal the wound totally?
Sometimes you wonder what do you mean? I get emotional when you say defense. What are you talking about? You gotta laugh to keep from crying, because I tell you, you look at this whole defense and you look at Sweat the other day. He already got a big contract over there. He over there already giving them sacks. You look out there what Chase is doing out in Frisco. He's giving them sacks. Here we are. As I said, I don't even know if they know what Dak's number was. But see, I look at that as coaching. It's a disconnect in there somewhere where we don't know. And there seems to be some coaches or something that is not working. Because I know one thing about it. This team has better personnel than they're playing. But one thing that was said earlier, and Brian and someone said it, I don't know how good a shape they're in. When I look at that second half, when you're supposed to take the game over, when I played, most of my sacks came in the fourth quarter because I set it up. These guys be too tired to get a drink of water. I don't know, Alex, what's happening out there?
I will defer to the experts that played this game on that. But yes, somehow, as Brian alluded to earlier, they play their worst football at the crucible of these games, save for games like Chicago where they're kind of blown out early. But yeah, it was telling whether Dallas just turned it on because they knew they could, whether Washington got tired and didn't have enough in the tank. I don't know. I don't know that I am as discerning as I should be when it comes to either motivation or fitness watching a ball game. All I know is the more important it gets, the later it gets in the games, the more important that play, that 4th and 1, that stop on 3rd and 8, the less likely they are to execute. Why? I don't know. But yes, it's not a good market team where you play your worst football at the most important moments, and that's how you end up going 4 and 8 or whatever they are. They can look great at times. Quarterback threw for 300 yards. They ran the ball for 120-ish yards at Dallas. In the end, what did it get them? They got smoked by 35 points. I don't know, Tone.
Let's be honest about this. And we keep talking about the leadership. This is Ron Rivera. He's never won here. I mean, he was 7-10 his first year, something like that, or in the second year. He's 7-9 his first year, 7-10 his second year. And with all due respect, if he doesn't have the cancer scare or the cancer situation, if the Dan Snyder stuff is not a muck, he might not have got that third year last year. Okay, I think there was a lot of sentiment for him because he was there and holding the fort. Because they have not been successful since he's been here, and now we get into this year, and nothing's changed. It's actually gotten worse as he rode it from 8-8, 7-10, 7-9, 7-10, 8-8-1 to what you're having now. They've never been stable with Ron Rivera's coach.
Well, and that also come into play that they've never been real stable in the last 3 or 4 years on the offensive line. They haven't had the same quarterback. At the same time, they've been trying to break in new quarterbacks. I understand all that. But when you have a defense that you've put together, and one thing that bothers me, if you look down the record of this, you got rid of 2 first-round draft choices the other day. You let a linebacker that was one of your first-round choices lead. You let another first-round choice lead a year before that. What's happening that all of the first-round choices are leaving here, going other places and playing well? So now you look at, was it the organization? Well, it's a new sheriff in town, and these guys ain't shooting blanks. And I think it's going to be a change. But I want to ask you this, Chill. Do you think they still got a chance to even sneak into the playoffs if they were to win every game, which we
For real, Tony. For real, Tony.
Come on, y'all. You can't just give up like that.
Tony. Tony, you're not smoking weed up there. You know, come on. Come on, man.
Smoking something.
What are we doing here, man?
You don't think they got any kind of chance?
Come on, man. What we doing? I didn't think they had a chance coming into the season. Come on, last year, the end of last year was fool's gold. That win against Dallas was fool's gold, and you come into the season with all this optimism, but they was rotting from the inside. I mean, I'm sorry, Jack Del Rio, and his leadership and the head coach. I mean, it has been eroding for years now, and now you finally got new ownership. You know they're gonna want their own people. You know they're gonna want to hire their own people. It was just a matter of time. You know, they thought that they could, obviously have a winning season, do something to stem the tide. Basically get in the good graces of new ownership. But Magic Johnson, they got to get up out of here. He got to get this up out of here.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
See, and what Magic does, Magic talks about effort all the time. I think that's one of the things where I only care about effort. If you give me your best, then I can accept losing a game. But when I don't see your best, because I've seen a lot of these guys perform at a certain level, and I tell them sometimes, fortunately or unfortunately, once I see what you're capable of, I expect it. Okay, and I can tell you this: the NFL and the NFLPA, they know they're saying that they're trying to work out to care about the safety of the players. But what you've done, you hurt the football game. Okay, because there are coaches who does this to the letter of the law. They do nothing very, very physical in practice, and when they get in the games, we see it. But there are other football teams like Baltimore Ravens. You can't tell me that. I watched them last night, and those guys are tackling like maniacs. I don't see the same thing happen on our team. I've been to our practices. I understand. I've been to other practices, and I've seen that too. So ultimately, what it comes down to is, are you going? Like I said, I don't care that the rules have changed. You are still preparing for a fight. You're preparing for car accidents. And if you don't get out there and work it like that, if guys don't press their guys a little bit more, if they don't get a little bit more intense in practice, they're going to look like that in football games. So players have to take over this thing. I understand. The coach set the tone. But I've had a coach, Marv Turner will tell you, hey, in practice, we're going to make this thing physical because the football game's not easy. So we had to make it physical. So when I see the way we do it, and I hear a lot of talk, like you said, Tony, they all say the right things. But if you keep doing the same thing every week, you're not getting the message. I can't believe that you're getting the message.
You just must not be listening, Brian. But Ron Rivera said something in his press conference. He said that he's working to try to free up the tackles as far as Payne and Allen. I'm trying to figure out, how do you do that when you let two of your best end guys go? And so he said that he wants to be able to free them up, because if you look at the last several weeks and everything, you look at the numbers for John Allen and Daron Payne, you don't even hear their name even called out. The pressure up front is not there. So I'm trying to understand how Ron Rivera is going to be able to work on freeing them up so they can be more one-on-one. And Tony, you're the defensive person. How do you free up these guys as far as what he's trying to say when you don't have the guys per se on the ends anymore to help that? Because I know Sweat helped out Daron Payne last year a lot by certain things, that communication between those two. Now you don't have him there. I don't know how he's going to get one-on-one help for these guys. And if so, do they still get to the quarterback?
You don't go to one-on-one. You go to games, as I said a couple of weeks ago. You go to where the tackles and the ends are changing positions and doing the movement of the game. And what they're doing is throwing the blockers off and everything. They had it when they were here earlier, and they had 4 number 1 draft choices. They depended on everybody to be able to go one-on-one and win that battle. Now they don't have 2 of them there. They're hitting Payne and Allen right at the line of scrimmage, double teaming them, not allowing them and forcing them to take gaps, and then they're running to the places that they aren't. Those young players that are there, they do not have all the idea. They're playing basic ball, but they're not going to make the plays that the other guys would have made. So all we're saying right now, it was a mistake, we thought, to get rid of the 2 rushers, but maybe they knew something we didn't know. So I tell you, look at this whole thing, and you want to back up, but I don't want to get out of this segment without asking about the third part of the team. B. Mitch, tell me about these special teams. Should they be giving us more? Can they do more? But you know what? No, wait, before you answer that, nobody ever answered what can this team do. None of you guys feel like they got an opportunity to maybe slip into the playoffs.
Slim.
They have a chance, but I don't think it's
tell
going
me
to
that
happen.
now.
You know, there's always a
they
chance.
already
Tony.
improved. You said they won 7 games. Now you know down in Texas they spell it SEUM7, but now they won 8 games, so they better. They got a chance to win more than 7. So why do you think that they cannot improve? Maybe these moves may turn out to be positive.
They lost to Danny DeVito, man. They lost to Danny DeVito, man. Come on. Danny DeVito. Gave up 3 touchdown passes to Danny DeVito.
Right.
See, the thing I look at is Ron is going to take over now.
Yeah.
And we all know calling plays, and this is no knock, this is fact. You have to get into a rhythm, right? You know, we talked about Eric had been doing it for all those years in Kansas City, but when he got here, he had to get into a rhythm. Ron's going to have to get into a rhythm. He hadn't done it, like Donna said, since 2018. He's not going to just step in and things are going to work out. You know, I think ultimately you got to get a feel of what's happening. And then again, if the players were upset enough, we'll see a change in play. I don't see a change in play at this point. You know, so do I think it's a possibility it could get better? But am I going to put some money on that? Not at all. Won't do that. So, I mean, it's tough. Listen, man, I cover this team. I love this team. But I don't see enough individuals. Like people keep saying, oh, ain't no iron team. When they come to look at you to see if they're going to let you go or not, they're going to look at you. And you better figure out a way to make sure your play is lifted. A lot of guys on this team are not doing what they are capable of doing. You know, we got guys out there that play all the time, but there are a lot of them who are playing way below their capabilities.
Well, you know what? When they get ready to look at them after we take this break, they're going to have to turn them around because a lot of them are backing in to get their paychecks. They don't want to look them in the face.
Just bet your money, Tony. Just bet your money.
My money too small. my money already small, and I need to bet on only sure things. And when we come back, we want to talk about the special team. Brian, you got to hit that. We'll be back in a moment.
What's up?
Listen to that young man quotes. This is a young man that won in high school. He won in college. He won in the pros. He's a great businessman. Now he's taking over a team that used to be a winner. He's going to make them a winner. And one thing about it, he just said they were the better team. So you know what he's telling you right now? You thought those 2 that left last week, they mess around. They're going to start giving people an apple and a roadmap on the way out of here. Because it's not going to stay in here long. That ain't gonna happen. When we talk about teams, we talk offense, we talk defense, special teams. Now the last 2 or 3 weeks, they've been showing us a little, but they didn't show us nothing the other day.
Yeah, they didn't. And I think the ultimate thing, I've been proud of Crowder throughout the year. I think he's hit it. I mean, he's made some big plays for him. But I'm looking at the kicking game. You know, Tress is normally very, very consistent. I don't know if it's the snaps that are high, sometimes low, that's throwing him off. But he's still been good. Trustway has been good. Joey Sly has missed 2 extra points. That's inconsistency. You can't have that. We've had Cheeseman snapping the ball a little bit wrong, you know. And then ultimately the coverage teams, they got to have some pride in it, man. You know, a lot of times they go down and they just start cruising instead of running hard. You know, making sure you try to weave a little bit, figure out who's blocking you, you know, because I think this team can be very, very, you know, when you play, Tony, the coaches went into the football games thinking that special teams will give us the edge. Right now, I don't think we truly giving anybody an edge to make sure we can win the game or not.
All I know is a guy called Dustin Hopkins up in Cleveland.
Oh, there you go, trying to get your relatives back on the show. You're right, though, Don. I had to go with you on that one.
Yeah, Tony, but you know, when we go back again, as far as we're talking about all 3 phases of this team and not being able to put them all on the page at the same time, because one week it's the offense, it ain't never been the defense really. And then, special teams has been somewhat in there. And like Brian said, Jamison Crowder has not only helped with the special teams, but they've been able to insert him in the offense a little more. But Brian, Tony is always talking about Terry McLaurin and being able to get the ball in his hands a lot more. But I told Tony, you got to look at what's there and not be forcing things as far as Sam. But how do you look at Eric Bieniemy right now, 4-8 season? A lot of people are still questioning his play calling. Tony talks about, they need to run the ball a lot more, but they've been using the running backs coming out the backfield as receivers. How do you see him overall, this far into the season, Eric Bieniemy and his offense, and how he's bringing them along?
Well, about this offense, I was in this offense in Philadelphia where it calls for guys to be in the proper spacing. And we've seen plays where two receivers are standing next to each other. That's not going to be vital for this offense. I think they should run the ball a lot more too, but ultimately it comes down to game situation. We watch in most games, we get behind. And once you get behind, I don't care what the offensive coordinator is, he's going to start throwing the football. They've shown that they can move the ball up and down the field on some of the best of the best, but they're inconsistent. When they start moving the ball, you get a false start. You get some illegal type of play or something like that. You can't hurt yourself. I think Eric has shown he's capable of calling the plays. But if you are going out there and you play complementary football to where you're not playing from a deficit most times, you can now stick to the run. We've seen games where they've stuck to the run. They've had success with it. But then we see other games that get down like 27-3 against the Bears. You're not going to be running the football at that time. You're going to throw the ball around. And I know Sam has shown they can throw. This is my thought. I think they went into the season to truly see what they have in Sam Howell. They want to put him through all types of tests. And that's what's happening right now. And I think he's passed those tests. If you put a better offensive line on that kid, the way he's throwing the football, and then now you're going to be in games, you can run the ball, I think they could be a successful offense. But you got to get some better people up front, because I don't care what people think. You can have all the skill positions you want. If you don't have a good O-line, good D-line, you're not going to be very good as a football team.
Hey, Tony, Jacksonville Jaguars has outside linebacker in Josh Allen. Already got 12 sacks on the year, had 2.5 in that game. He's a free agent, Tony, coming up this year. And the linebacker position is one that the Commanders need help. This guy is a rock star, but you would have to pay him a lot of money to come here.
Tons.
But Tony.
Well, you know what? They got a lot to pay him now. They just got rid of 2 big contracts. They got rid of one last year, so they should have money there. And then you start to wonder on this team, not just from players and not just from the coaches, do you have a feeling within that in that locker room that everybody looking to say who's next? Is Bieniemy going to be the next head coach? Is this player is going to go? Seems like that atmosphere is gone. It's there now, and it really is bothering them. But why I ask you guys, and one thing we will see, everybody can see that their job's on the line right now. They can see that they have 5-6 games left. They can see that in those games, they are playing for their football lives. If you don't think they're going to give all of it, then these guys don't need to be here. Am I correct?
You're right, Tony.
100%.
Clarence, I'll be interested. What are the Cowboys saying after that Washington's game? What are they saying about this team?
That's what they say.
With all due respect,
they thought it was going to be better. I was disappointed.
Tell the truth.
With all due respect, they haven't given us thought about the Redskins since they jumped in that Salvation Army kennel, pull out those chicken wings. I mean, they're focused on Seattle. They're focused on the games they got ahead. My thing about Washington, just from outside looking in, and I'm a Eric Bieniemy admirer, and I followed him throughout his career, through college and certainly in the pros. I wondered if this would be a good spot for him, because it's almost like a no-win situation. It's like if you how does he come out of this situation looking good? Because you're trying out a quarterback that's never really started a full season before. You basically got a head coach who was on the firing line, just coming into the season. It's just a tough situation for him to navigate, and all this stuff you got to deal with. You look going forward. I know he has a 2-year deal or a multi-year deal, but how does Josh Harris and Magic Johnson What do they do with Eric Bieniemy? How does he come out of this? I don't know if he'll be a head coaching candidate. I don't know if he's shown enough based on the success of this team because, obviously when a team is bad, everybody got to share in the blame. How does he come out of this looking good and be able to continue his career and path toward being a head coach?
He keep hanging them 30s on them teams. He look good already. We ain't seen those in 4 or 5 years. And so I think that's what he's thinking about. He wants to make his part of the team look good. He wants to win as a team, but he also is very cognizant of the fact that this team needed scoring last year. He have more scoring this year, not enough, but at the same time, it's a lot better than it was. Donna, you saw that, and you've been saying that. And Alan, we've been watching this for the longest. Brian, you watch it. But what I'm saying right now is we can't just keep cutting it down to this player, this coach. It's the whole deal. And that's what I'm wondering. Imagine them about it.
But Tony, that's what John Allen said. He said it's the players and the coaching. But I'm curious, if you let go Eric Bieniemy, how does that set back a Sam Howell where he's basically developed this guy? So I'm curious about how that all plays out too. If you end up saying we're getting rid of all the coaches, what does that mean for Sam as far as his development?
Do you think they can get rid of Eric Bieniemy on the way he's coached this year? I think he's done. I don't like all his calls. Yes, I would like to see the ball ran more. But as I said, as a defensive player, and Brian will tell you this, if we see our offense put up 30, we know we're going to win that game because we're not supposed to give the other team more than 17 points. He's done that on occasion. He scored 28 and still lost. So what we're saying is, I don't see how they can get rid of him. I really don't. And everybody know they bought him in that eventually he's going to be a head coach somewhere.
Well, I think ultimately, if he can go out there and you look at the way he's developing Sam, and I think if Sam is continuing to develop, you don't want to keep switching it up with a quarterback. That says a lot about what he's doing. I've heard people go, when Sam does great, they want to tell me how great Sam is. When Sam does bad, they want to tell me how bad Eric is. You can't separate them. If they're doing good, they're doing good. If they're doing bad, they're doing bad. But the ultimate thing for me is when I look at this team, I am watching a lot of the stuff go on. But you started off the season with Nick Gates at your center. He wasn't very good, okay? You had the kid from LSU at left guard. Didn't play well.
Wiley?
Yeah. No, well, now Wiley hadn't been good out there on the right side. But once you put Larson in, once you put Chris Paul, now they're playing better offensively. They still, I don't think, have as good enough offensive line as they're going to need. And if they were to get that, you can see a lot of growth and the possibilities with Sam Howell. But that's the ultimate thing. Is ownership as excited as some of us are? Do they believe Sam is the guy? Will they want to stay with him? If they want to stay with him, I think it's hard to let Eric or Tavita Pritchard go. But if they don't and they go get somebody else, then they can do whatever they feel like doing at that point.
Hey, fans, I know you may not like this, but we're just telling it like it is, and that's what you got to do. Third base in the World Series, need a home run. When we come back, we'll talk about the teams that already hit home runs. It's a lot of good teams out there, but right now, we can't look at Washington as being one of them. But we can always say, let's hope in the future. We'll be back in a moment.
Hey guys, I'm back again. Pro Fitness for Everyone. Today is going to be a great day for us and for everybody. There you go. Make sure you put your feet up here. Yeah. Tell me if the weight is fine when you get there.
Bring your water, because Ricky is a slave driver.
Oops. Oh, yep, there you go. Yep. Good, right there. Back up. Woo! Right there. Yes. We're going to be here all day. I love those, girls. That's what I'm talking about. And when I do 10 seconds with that, that's what we're going to show next time. My workout, 10 seconds. What's your count?
10.
And this is Dice again, y'all. This is a great game we love to play. Yeah, but your squats are wonderful. Is that weight too light?
No.
Okay.
Well, and you know, Ricky Irvin's always giving me a good workout. It was leg day. And let's talk about leg day for this team. Seattle at Dallas. Seattle is coming off a loss on Thanksgiving Day to the 49ers. And Clarence, since you covered the Cowboys, talk about Dallas facing Seattle. It's at home. This Dallas team seems to be on a roll right now.
Dallas is on the road. They play well at home. They won the last 13 games at home. I think they've scored their opponents at home so far this year, 205-60. And they really fattened up on some bad teams like Washington, of course, and the Giants and the Jets and the Patriots. Now they begin a run of 5 straight games against teams with winning records, starting with Seattle. They have Seattle, they have Philadelphia, they got Buffalo, they got Miami, and then they got Detroit. So we'll learn a lot about this Cowboys team. They're 8-3. They're playing the best football. Dak Prescott's playing the best football of his career. But as we know, as you guys know, everybody says it outside, what are they going to do against good teams? What are they going to do in the playoffs? Well, the Cowboys get a chance to show some of that starting Thursday against Seattle. And Seattle's a team that's 6-5 now, coming back down to earth. But they're a tough opponent. They're a winning team. Cowboys are ready. They will be good at home. I think they will beat Seattle and they will beat Philly at home. And then we'll find out what this race is going to look like in December and January.
Hey, Brian,
I don't think they're going to beat Philly.
Hey, Brian, I
don't think they're going to beat Philly.
They should have could have beat them in Philly. So they play well at home. They own Philly at home.
Well, let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. They're playing
the luckiest team in NFL right now.
Yeah, they're playing the 49ers. And Brian, I'm going to come to you. The Eagles have had some close games to 4 straight that they are called the comeback kids. They're the first team to reach 10-0. When you look at this Philly team and the way they're winning, it doesn't matter about how they're winning. Are they the best team in football at that record of 10-0? Last year, you look at them 10-0 during this stretch. Talk about this game against the 49ers because the 49ers are starting to play again pretty good.
The 49ers are playing good, but I think the thing about the Philadelphia Eagles, they know how to play against a team like that. They have enough athleticism on the defense to where they can nullify their offense just a little bit. When you look at Jalen Hurts, he's as calm as they come. And when you watch him in the game last night, how he just went down and scored the touchdown for them to go ahead and win that game. People say the Eagles haven't played their best football thus yet. They're 10-1, okay? And if they haven't played their football, don't let them start playing it right now going into the playoffs because it's going to be a problem. I believe that this team is the best team in football right now. We watch the Chiefs go up and down. We watch the 49ers go up and down. They're the reason that Brock Purdy had to go get checked out over the offseason. They will be able to get to Brock Purdy. And I think ultimately that O-line, D-line, that combination is the best in football. And that's how you win football games.
Hey, Tony, I'm coming to you. The Denver Broncos started off 1-5 this season and have won, I think, 3 or 4 straight games. They're playing the Texans, who are 6-5. Has the Broncos, who may get into the playoffs, now when you talk about getting to the playoffs, that's the team that you may want to bet on. Tony, has this Broncos team turned the pages? And also, how do you see the Houston Texans, who also has played well?
Well, I like the Houston Texans, and I think they'll be the team that will beat your Denver team. But at the same time, yes, Denver is playing better, but if you look at their quarterback, he's still not the quarterback that we knew in Seattle. He's still, like the other day, only had 100 and so many yards. He's not controlling games the way he did, and he's not running the same. And as you look at it, there's been a lot of changes. Right now, what's happening in Denver is their defense. So as I take a look at this, they got a young quarterback down there that's coming into Denver, and he know he has an opportunity to win. I'm going to bet against Denver, Donna, and let me have your paycheck if you want to do a little betting too.
I bet on Texans too. I took Houston too. I like how they're playing. So you won't be getting my paycheck. But Alex, when you look at Buffalo changed their offensive coordinator. You look at Pittsburgh Steelers, they changed their offensive coordinator, and since then, Buffalo has played well. Also, Pittsburgh. When you look at Buffalo and Pittsburgh, are these, and they're looking in. I mean, Pittsburgh is in a division where, you know, the Ravens, all those teams. But how do you see the Buffalo Bills right now, who's looking in after losing that game that they had in their pocket against the Philadelphia Eagles?
Buffalo played a great game. Quarterback played a great game. If not for that one pick, and he seems to always have kind of one in him, Josh Allen. But that run he scored on, they were fantastic. Diggs was great. Somehow they've sort of done just enough to not win a bunch of games. I think they're 500 now, and common sense tells us, I think as football fans, that they're better than that with that quarterback. They're like the opposite of the Eagles. The Eagles do just enough to win all these close games. The Bills are a team where if they can get in, you got to get in. You got to make it to the dance. But if they do, there is not a team out there, be it Kansas City, maybe the Ravens, these teams in the AFC, that would want to see Josh Allen, you know, in December, January, et cetera. Because if they get in, they're darn good. Their record doesn't look like they're that good, but they came this close and probably, save for some questionable calls, should have beaten Philadelphia in that game. But the Eagles got, I think, the benefit of a few calls, and the quarterback made the play when he had to. The kicker made the kick when he had to in the win, 59 yards. But Buffalo, if they can get in, they're going to have to win probably 3 or 4 of the last 5 to do that. If they get in, they'll be dangerous.
Well, with all due respect, Alex, you know, we're old enough to remember. This is Buffalo's story. Marv Levy, Jim Kelly. They always just get close. They get close. And they never win.
Right. Hey, you got to call it like you see it, man. Come on,
They always get close.
Buffalo, I'll tell you what, right now they so scared in their pants. But now the one thing they do have a few of these games will be in the snow. So they have opportunity, but they just choking, man. Let's be truthful. Quarterback is making plays, but he tries to make the dangerous plays every game. He can't do that.
Yes.
At the same time, the defense is just not the same yet. They got to get that defense to pick it up. Maybe cold weather will help them, but they've been in too many close games and they couldn't pull them out. The one thing about that Buffalo team is the game is never over until the clock runs out, and that's why you always can give them a chance.
Hey, Tony, this is for everybody. Next to the Philadelphia Eagles, who's sitting at 10-1, who's the next best team after the Philadelphia Eagles? Is it the Ravens? Is it Kansas City? Who do you see as far as next in line beyond the Philadelphia
Can't
Eagles?
do it right now, Donna. My producer telling me that they're going to cut me off, and my commercial people are mad. You can't ask that question. we got to get out here. But I'll tell you, I think none of y'all want to think about it by this time out. The Ravens may be the team everybody needs to watch out for. And when we come back, I won't tell you why. I'll make you guess until next week. We'll be back in a moment.
In the Minute with Tony and Donna. You can catch them weekly on their podcast, and you can also subscribe to their YouTube channel, In the Minute. Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Speakers Bureau offers you various opportunities to connect with former and current players along with Tony and the crew. For more information, go to redmagplus.com, Speakers Bureau.
One more thing.
39 years. Not many shows can claim a streak like that, but Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus sure can. Tony McGee, a burgundy and gold legend on the field and for decades now on the air, is once again excited to bring his one-of-a-kind program to his legion of fans across the Mid-Atlantic. How to last so long? By always delivering unique, insightful, entertaining, and oh yeah, fun, lots of fun, week in and week out. Tony's cast includes the legendary Gary Clark, the impeccable Donna Hopkins on the burgundy and gold beat for decades now, as well as icons from Washington football, past and present, not to mention the Pro Football Hall of Famers who flock to Tony's show year in and year out. There is not a show dedicated to football fans like this one, and the proof is in the almost 4 decades that Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus has been the go-to stop for fans who want content that only Tony and crew can deliver. This season promises to be yet another exciting one for the team, the league, the show, and its fans, and we want you to be a part of it. There are sponsorship opportunities to fit your business's goals, 30 and 60-second targeted commercial spots, weekly segments dedicated to promoting your brand, on-air guest opportunities for you to share your company's mission, and so on. We'd love to discuss tailoring a sponsorship program that is just right for you, both in scope and in cost. For sponsorship opportunities, call 703-282-0792 or email info@regnetplus.com. Be a part of this historic season on this historic show, Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. 39 years and the millions of viewers over those years can't be wrong.
Well, you have to look at the picture right now. We need to do this quick. But one thing I need to say, Clarence and B, thanks for being on, guy. You brought a knowledge.
Appreciate you.
Don't get mad because you were wrong, Alice. We had you back next week. But all of you remember the Ravens and fans, you remember one thing. I tell them bye and thank you, but I tell you thank you too, because without you fans, we'd be nothing. So we never say goodbye. We say in the minute.
Say it along with me. Say it along with me. Change is up to me. If you're feeling what I'm feeling, then you know what I mean. The change is up to me. You keep doing the same thing, you're gonna get the same result.